Well, hi, welcome to all of you out there. I am Jane Liebecker from Seattle, Washington. I am a certified coach from the Eddie Villa program, and I use the Clifton Strengths as one of my tools.
Hi, everyone. My name is Manetta Fields. I'm joining you from Maryland. I too am a certified coach through the Eddie Villa program, and I found the Gallup Strengths Assessment to be an amazing tool in my coaching.
And our special guest today is Sandra Freeman. And where are you from, Sandra?
I'm in Southern Oregon, all the way down, all the way down just 40 miles north of the California border. So I'm near Ashland, Oregon.
Oh,
I'm a
yeah.
few miles north of
Of
Ashland.
Ashland, where they have the Shakespearean festivals every year. That's cool.
Nice. So we're going to get started. We're so glad you're here with us, Sandra. And the first question is, what is your dominant domain?
My dominant domain is strategic thinking. I have
Wow.
a very strong secondary because I have 3 executing strengths in my top 10. So I do relate to the strategic thinking for sure. It is really at the core of my why. It's really tied to my executing strengths. And you're going to be asking me, I believe, about one of my executing strengths anyway.
I love that. So, how did you learn about strengths?
I learned about strengths because I'm part of doTERRA, and it was recommended that we look into strengths assessments. And I had the good fortune to have Eddie Villa speak for our team at least once, if not twice. And I just knew when I was on his email distribution list, I just knew I wanted to join his community in January of 2020.
Love it. So, how did it feel learning about your strengths?
It was a lot of things. First of all, I made the mistake of, because I wasn't educated before I met Eddie, I just got my top 5. And I don't recommend that anybody ever do it because when I got that, I couldn't relate to it and I didn't have any guidance anyway. When I got my top 10, even though I still didn't have anyone yet to talk with me about it, it was so freeing to see a more diverse set of strengths. It made more sense to me. I was starting to warm up to it.
I like that. Warm up to it.
Sandra,
But then when I really learned about it,
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
when I really started learning about my strengths, it was a life-changing experience. You're asking what was it like? To really understand that this was a key to my finally and completely surrendering to accepting and loving myself exactly the way I am, that was huge for me.
I love that too.
I felt that when you said that.
Yeah. Where is restorative in your top 10?
It's my number 10.
Number 10. Okay.
All right. So, for those who may not be aware of what restorative is, I'm just going to read quickly what Gallup has to say about it. People strong in the restorative theme are adept at dealing with problems. They are good at figuring out what's wrong and resolving it. Would you say that's true?
I would say that that's true.
What are your number 1 and 5 strengths?
So I'm really glad you asked about this because restorative, without being tempered by other strengths, can be really difficult. So my number 5 is strategic, and I adore my number 5. It's for me my intuitive, it's my abstract intuition, it's my ability to just see so many possibilities and then intuitively know what to choose. And then my number 1 is connectedness.
Oh, wow.
Love it. So,
Yeah.
can you tell us how you use your restorative? Maybe give us an example.
Yes. So there are areas of my life that I feel that are really important to me, that I feel is just such a gift. And so a couple of examples are I love to In fact, life is not worth living for me without having a garden. And restorative is a wonderful strength to have to become better at gardening, because there are many problems to be fixed when one gardens. And so in that arena, I consider it to be just a real gift. And also because my profession has been primarily in hands-on healing for decades. And that is a great place to use problem solving, because the methods that I use, the therapies that I have mastery in, all are helped by the ability to identify a problem and come up with a solution. I know that sounds very mechanical, and what I do is not, but that ability to come face to face with a problem and then the willingness to find a solution is, my clientele appreciate that.
Mm.
So how do your number 1 connectedness and your number 5 strategic work together with restorative?
Well, it's connectedness to me is really honoring. It's a lot of things, but it's really honoring the innate intelligence that is found within all of creation. That's a lot of what it is to me. So I will always want to bring to the table in everything that I do, honoring that element. And so that and strategic, I'm not sure if I remember exactly the question, but you're asking me, how do they work with restorative? That's where I can keep my restorative elevated, where I can really elevate the gift of restorative. Because the downside of restorative is it can come off as sounding really critical and picky and pointing out faults, and I don't want to be that person. It's not received, first of all, and to come across that way is lacking in consciousness about other people. And so the challenge always for me is to bring in what is the wisest way to communicate this? What is it wise to even point anything out or speak up? I really ask myself, what is the wisest thing in this situation? Because sometimes the wisest thing is not to say a word.
Good.
I love that insight that you have.
For sure. So what would you say you like about restorative?
I like it. Now, this may be very specific to how the top 10 strengths in the assessment is really customized more than the other descriptions from 11 on. So it talks about, and I love this about it, really not being afraid to face a problem. So there is that element of courage and of being real, willingness to be real. I like that. I like it because if I put my mind to it, I can often resolve something that personally that I may have felt I needed to run to somebody else first. And I also feel like it's at a high level, I guess I would say restorative is like bringing something back to life. I believe that phrase is actually part of both Gallup and the materials and concepts we've gotten from Eddie. So at the highest level, it's bringing something back to life. And that's why I use the example of the garden, but it also means in relationship. Can I bring to the table? I'd really like to breathe life into this. We're broken or we're having a gap or a disconnect. I like those aspects of restorative.
That is restorative at the highest level. That's awesome. So, Sandra, what would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence about taking the Gallup Strengths Assessment?
Oh my gosh. I think everybody will benefit from getting a strengths assessment. Even if they just pay the fee and get the report, if they were really to read their assessment, which I'm the type of person that doesn't do that right off the bat. They just we get, there's so much benefit to it. There's so much there, and it's way beyond what I believe Gallup says it's about. That's why was so drawn to Eddie and so grateful for the time that I've had in the relationships I have from the community, because it's profound. It's not just about what you're doing in a corporate job.
That's great. Thank you so much. Wow, so many little nuggets of information in there, and I really am excited for people to hear this.
Thank
It's
you
really
so
good.
much for
Thank you
sharing.
so
the
much.
gift
You
of
both
you.
look so great. Thank you for having me.
Oh,
If you ever want to do it again, I'd be honored.
for sure.